on here? I've never built a kitchen before. And now, with a bit of luck and your advice, I'm going to build this kitchen here. This was kindly designed by one of my subscribers, Mark Williams. Mark Williams Joinery Design, if you're in Australia. Or maybe New Zealand, because he's doing it for me and I live in New Zealand. But in this exciting episode, we are building the kitchen in the double garage behind me that raises some challenges. We try and overcome them, and we start building cabinets in a way that I think is very approachable, very simple. Try not to overcomplicate this kitchen, because I've never built one before. So we have renovated this room, and now we are going to plop a kitchen in the end of it. This kitchen will be made up of white carcass grade plywood, or the cabinets will. All the plywood you see will be the Meranti plywood on the outside. That's to give you an idea of what the kitchen's eventually going to look like. But in the meantime, let's cut some plywood. Ray is here to laugh at me today.
Hey.
How are you? Welcome back.
Back at the brownies. As fancy as I thought.
Fine trim, electro blue. You're gonna get a sore neck building this kitchen, Raymond?
What do you mean?
Don't you go to the bottom part?
No, you're like 3 mil above your material.
I always go to that part. To the, I don't even know what that's called, the circle. The bottom of the blade.
Oh yeah.
So like 18 would be about there.
In an extreme, right? If you push it all the way up,
Yes.
then the blade comes down on an angle at your material that you don't want.
Right.
Because then it really starts hacking, and you want to be as sort of smooth as possible. So I always understood that 2-3 mil above the material is ideal.
Right, let's do your suggestion.
But that's 20 years ago when I last checked it. So maybe science caught up. You know?
Yeah. Ah, let's do it. Let's cut.
Oh shit! You're filming.
All right. Yeah, I think we got a pretty good cut, right? I mean, it started down here. That is about as good as it gets.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of chipping.
A little bit of chipping.
But barely noticeable. Yeah. And then it was down this end that it started going a bit funkier, at the very end in particular.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much just down to our movement.
Well, we think.
But
then, look at the other side. That's much better.
It's like a factory edge on the other side. That is, I wouldn't expect that, because obviously the blade is spinning and pushing against that laminate underneath. But I guess because it's hard on this cast iron table, it keeps it from chipping. I don't know, but it's working out well.
Because like now, I would be happily taking the shortcut.
Right.
But with the spinning blade, you're trying to...
Do you think it's because it's like that at the end? Because that's lower than the table saw, and then most of the way it's sitting on the bench, on the table saw, and then at the end it's all the weights at that end and it lifts up. We're figuring it out. What do you think, Ray?
We've got some empirical knowledge here.
Yeah?
Like field research.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's do this.
Alright.
So this is with the blade sticking out above the material, what, 3 mil?
Was this the original cuts we did?
Yeah, that was the first one. And then we raised the blade. And now we have this result, which is near perfect.
So this is the near perfect cut with the teeth just above the laminate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the angle.
The way that the angle of the teeth as they're coming out.
Emerge from the material.
Wow, what a difference. Mark has done all these drawings, and now we don't have to think about that, right? That's a big load off. But one thing that we haven't got yet is the cut list. So we're just making it up as we go. So we're basically listing all the stuff that we need to cut. And then we're chucking it over to the Cut List Optimizer website. So you chuck it into the columns on the left here, and you click calculate, and it will do this. This is what we were following this morning when we cut all those sheets up for the side panels. But Mark's sorting out the cut list for everything else. We just couldn't wait. Never seen this in plywood before. Look at that, dead tight.
So what happened is that the blade stopped spinning because it was just pinched
Yeah.
mid-sheet.
So the sheet was essentially grabbing the back of the blade.
So it's called Brown. What's the solution?
Getting a beautiful cut here. See that? It's like pristine. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is where the kitchen's going. Got the oven tower behind me up here. This will be the stove with the drawers underneath it. And then around the corner, we've got this corner unit that I'll show you. The sink will be here. And over here will be the fridge and the pantry. So now that I've cut a whole bunch of timber, believe it or not, I've pretty much cut up most of the kitchen. Most of the cabinetry anyway. So let's start screwing it together. So you would have noticed that I labeled everything, and the different colored masking tape is also a color coding of sorts. That yellow one there is all the sides of the cabinets that go under the bench, because all those sides are the same height and depth. And then everything else for those same bench cabinets has the purple, and then the green is the stuff close to the pantry and so on. But I also need some rails. So let's rip some rails. Now, I've watched so many YouTube videos, woodworking videos, about building cabinets, and asked heaps of advice from people who are very good at building cabinets. And I ultimately came to a conclusion that I'm going to keep it very simple. There's no rebates, no fancy joins. We're just butting things together. Make it flush. And I'm not even gluing it because these are laminated sheets, so it wouldn't even work anyway. We're just going to pin it like so. Same with the other side. So the back is 16 mil, and it might be controversial that I'm just fixing it onto the back like this, but I think it's strong enough. These things are going to be sitting on feet, you know? Boom! Look how solid it is, just with pins. Woo! So yeah, that's how I'm building them. But obviously I'm going to add some screws now, and it's going to be even stronger. So that's how I'm doing the cabinets. Exposed plywood edge. I considered doing edge banding. I looked into all these different ways of finishing it. Ultimately, the front is going to be a timber look. Meranti, that stuff over there. That stuff right there. So it's quite a nice warm timber. And then I figured if I edge banded this with white, in between the gaps of the drawer fronts and door fronts, you're going to see white rather than timber. And I thought, well, I'll try to get a timber edge banding. And then ultimately I decided plywood is timber. So I think seeing that colour in between the gaps of the drawer fronts and door fronts would be quite alright. And just doing that little bit of sanding and routering the corners has made it super smooth. Put a bit of polyox oil on there. I think it's going to be great. So this is ready for the drawers and everything now. And hey man, I've got more of these cabinets to build, so I'm going to do that right now. I might see you in the next exciting episode.
I think he's happy to have you here, Ray, so he's not just like stuck in his own head.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Terrified of a mistake.
Yeah.
Because now he can blame you.
I almost got a hug this morning.
Oh,
Almost. There was a hand going towards my shoulder, and that's it. Yeah.
oh, yeah. We're not a hug, Ray Scott.